Welcome to Dive Wreck Valley. Today we're going to be doing something just a little bit out of the ordinary. We're going to be using underwater metal detectors to find coins, gold, and artifacts. We're going to start off the show on a Long Island South Shore beach by simply walking or wading into the water and looking for lost coins and lost jewelry from the swimmers from the beach. We'll finish up the show on Long Island's North Shore by swimming out to a shipwreck that was sunk back in 1918 and hopefully find some brass spikes and other artifacts. So stay with us. Dive Wreck Valley will be right back. Joining me today is my old friend and noted treasure hunter Mike McMeekin. Mike is considered by many to be one of the most productive treasure hunters in the area, and he's even had the honor of being featured in many treasure-related articles and magazines. Also with me is Fred Krupowitz, owner of Treasures Unlimited Metal Detecting Shop in East Patchogue, and my wife, Denise Berg. We'll be utilizing 3 uniquely different types of metal detectors in today's show. Basically, a different type of detector for each environment. Our objective is not to promote any one machine or to demonstrate any of the mediocre detectors available. Our objective is simple. We're going to show you how we found treasure and artifacts with present technology's best machines for each environment. On the beach, I prefer the Minelab Sovereign. This machine is the absolute state-of-the-art in new metal detecting technology. Unlike conventional machines, this multi-frequency detector is capable of locating even the hardest to find deeply buried targets. Today we're hunting on an inland bay beach on Long Island's South Shore. We wanted to test the Minelab on a heavily worked beach to see if it could find targets missed or deeper and out of range than our other land machines. The Sovereign's coil is waterproof, so it can be used in the shallow surf. Remember that the Sovereign's box is not designed to resist water, so only the coil and shaft can get wet. Although the Minelab Sovereign is a relatively new machine, it's fairly simple to master. The Sovereign is a motion detector, so the coil needs to be in motion to lock in on a target. When searching, be sure to sweep the coil level to the ground to ensure the deepest possible results. The control box can be mounted either on the shaft or, to reduce arm fatigue, can be carried in a chest bag. Minelab makes the initial setup simple. For convenience, all control knobs have a preset red dot. Novice hunters can just set all the controls to the red dot and start hunting. One of the interesting features on this machine is its audio tone. The machine makes a different sound depending on whether the target is a coin, gold ring, or trash. A highly recommended accessory is the meter, which mounts on top of the Minelab shaft. The meter basically tells what the target is before you dig it. Beach hunting is one of the easiest and most productive forms of metal detecting. During the summer months, beaches are crowded with sunbathers and swimmers. Many drop small change or even jewelry into the sand, which quickly covers and hides the lost items. The only problem with beaches are that most are also littered with flip-tops, soda cans, nails, and other garbage. This is one reason why a top-quality machine is needed to successfully hunt beaches. A good machine can not only discriminate out the trash, but will also visually tell the hunter what he's located before the target's dug. First, let's cover some basic rules or guidelines for beach hunting. When a target is located, dig a small hole. Then, before screening any sand, pass the coil back over the hole. If the target is not moved, dig a little deeper. Once the target is out of the hole and in the sand pile, isolate it and with a screen, sift away the sand. Remember that even if the target is trash, you should always remove it from the beach. This accomplishes 2 things. First, we clean the beaches, which is the environmentally correct thing to do. And second, we eliminate the possibility of redigging the same target twice. Once you start metal detecting regularly, you'll soon realize that it's all just a matter of percentages. The more time you spend on the beach and the more targets you dig, the better chance you have of finding that lost gold ring. Last, always remember to refill any holes dug. While this may seem unimportant to some, leaving unsightly holes all over the beach will only give metal detecting a bad name and eventually eliminate the availability of some sites. What makes the Minelab superior to other land machines?
Well, most machines have 1 or 2 frequencies. This particular machine has 17 frequencies, which every couple of seconds is sending out into the soil, which basically neutralizes the minerals that are in the soil. Thus, If I could paint a picture for you, it would be tantamount to putting, say for instance, a gold ring in a hole I just dug, putting a little dirt in there, and then putting some iron filings in there, and then filling the rest up with dirt. That is known as mineralization in a nutshell. It's a dramatic explanation or example, but nonetheless that's the way it is. The mine lab is made to penetrate through those minerals and the iron filings, quote, to get to the gold that we're looking for. And that's what makes us superior.
And how deep would that, will the mine lab find a coin, say, in sand like this?
Well, they're saying not to measure in inches anymore, if that says anything. What we're looking for is depth beyond any of the other machines that have been out on the market as of right now. And as far as the depth goes, we've been getting reports back 12, 14, 16 inches down per dime.
Within only a few minutes, Mike finds his first coin of the day, a $50. Shortly after, Fred locates his first deep signal of the day, which turns out to be only a quarter. I can't believe the number of targets I'm finding. Most are coins, some even silver, but all have been relatively deep, 6 to 12 inches. I've hunted this stretch before and have never dug this many targets. Mike is also having good luck. Watch carefully as Mike methodically searches a stretch of beach until he locates a target. Then, with a short-handled screen scoop, he digs a small hole. By waving the coil back over the hole, Mike is certain the target is now in his screen. Once the sand is sifted and the coin is safely stored, Mike covers the hole and continues to search. Denise and Mike decide to try their luck in the playground area by the swing set. They figure that this would be a productive location for lost change. This is Denise's first experience with the Mine Lab Sovereign, but within a few minutes, she's located her first coin. Within a half hour, Dee looks like an old pro and is steadily finding lost change. This area proves to be quite productive, and both Dee and Mike recover almost 25 coins from an area only 20 feet in diameter. Dee decides to move over to the kids' slide and quickly locates a signal. After digging, she learns she's found her first gold ring. Fred, who's an experienced hunter, claims that the only complaint he's ever heard about the new Sovereign is that your arms fatigue quickly from digging all those deep holes. Apparently this is true, because we're all digging more targets than ever, and all seem to be at least 6 to 12 inches below the surface. Fred concentrates his search down towards the surf. At high tide, much of this area is used by swimmers. This increases the chances of finding lost jewelry. Fred finds a target and starts to dig. As other targets today, this one is also quite deep. Once the target is isolated and sifted through his screen scoop, a gold ring appears. This is what metal detecting is all about. Fred has found a large gold high school ring. On the far end of the beach, I'm also digging a deep signal. The target turns out to be a strange-looking dime-sized coin, which turns out to be a Spanish silver 1 real $1. The coin is in remarkably good condition, and the date is still readable, 1768.
Got a few gold
This is the first Spanish coin I've ever found, and I wonder what it's doing on an inland bay beach. Meanwhile, Mike has located a pocket of coins. Within a relatively small area, he's already recovered a handful of old silver coins. A trick learned with experience is to always stay in an area that's producing coins. Coins mean activity, and as long as you're finding coins, continue to dig. After another 45 minutes of slowly and carefully scanning the area, I find another Spanish coin. This one is the size of a modern quarter. It's a 2 real and appears to be of similar age to the first. Mike, who has finally finished digging coins in the playground area, decides to research the area which I have just left. Within no time at all, he hits a large target. Although fairly deep, the signal is quickly dug and sifted. I can't believe my eyes. Mike has located a beautiful 8 real Spanish pillar dollar. Mike, who's an experienced treasure hunter, later told me that there was a lot of pirate activity on Long Island's South Shore, which could account for the coin's location, but it's impossible to tell exactly where the coins came from. On subsequent days, we've researched this area repeatedly, but have never located any additional Spanish coins. Within only a few hours, we found not only a pile of old silver coins, 2 gold rings, and 3 Spanish coins, but have had a great time and did this all on a beach that had already been heavily hunted. In my eyes, the Mine Lab Sovereign has performed above even my greatest expectations. Stay tuned. When we come back, we'll be suiting up to wade into the shallow surf in search of lost jewelry. Recoup the entire expense of purchasing a metal detector after only a few trips out. First off, swimmers are more likely to lose jewelry, especially gold and silver rings. It seems that after sitting in the hot sun and then jumping into the cool sea, rings can just slide off a bather's fingers. Joining me on this segment is my old friend and dive partner, Rick Schwartz. We'll be using Garrett XL500 pulse detectors. This machine is fully waterproof and excels in the saltwater environment. The discrimination knob should be set on 0. On land, the discriminator can be used to eliminate junk, but in saltwater, we opt to dig all targets. Set the volume as low as possible so that you can still hear a constant faint tone. Targets are located by listening to changes in the frequency. After a little practice, you'll be able to distinguish large targets from small and be more perceptive to the soft whispers indicating a deep target. We choose to use the Garrett XL500 when wading into the water, not only for its reliability and depth penetration, but because the pulse machines do not require the coil to be in motion to register a target. This allows the hunter to find a target, then pinpoint it by holding the coil directly above. He can then mark the location with his foot and lower his scoop to recover the object. The advantages of the pulse detector not only reduce arm fatigue, but allow recovery of targets even in chest-deep water, or when the visibility makes it impossible to see what's being dug. Equipment needed for water hunting includes a wetsuit or dry suit, gloves, and a weight belt. Other gear includes the metal detector, a strainer, and a long-handled digging scoop. Of course, the first step in most successful searches is research. We look for old swim sites and hotels. These sites are productive for jewelry as well as old coins. This is not to say that new beaches are not productive. We just prefer to find older coins and antique jewelry. Research can also put you into virgin territory. It's sites like these that could yield all types of treasure. Today we're searching a small bay beach on the south shore of Long Island. This area is fairly productive and has yielded a good dozen or so rings over the past year. It's always advisable to hunt at low tide. This way you can wade out further, hopefully into more productive areas. Rick locates a target, pinpoints its location, and then using his long-handled scoop digs into the mud and clay bottom. The scoop is then emptied into a floating screen attached to his belt. Many have the misconception that each and every target recovered should be treasure. This is definitely not the case. Most of the time, we're digging everything from old coins to flip-tops and nails. The hard work of digging is, however, paid off when gold is found. After only 45 minutes, Rick locates a beautiful gold cross. Denise has quickly picked up the routine of locating and digging targets. I remember a few years back when I spent about 2 hours digging over 100 targets, most of which were pennies and nickels, when I finally dug up a nice little gold wedding band. As Mike once told me, you definitely have to pay your dues, but the rush you get when a gold ring appears in your screen makes it all worthwhile. Mike McMeekin first showed me how to water hunt a few years back. One of his secrets to success is certainly his experience. Mike is able to locate, pinpoint, and dig more targets per hour, and therefore consistently outperforms Rick and I, who are both still novices at the sport. Mike's collection of gold rings alone is impressive, but once when we were working an old hotel site, he found a magnificent 1-carat diamond ring. It's the thought of treasures like these that motivate all who hunt with a metal detector.
What's that?
Mike has just recovered a gold ring. You'll notice that he keeps all the gold he finds in a small bag worn around his neck. Coins and trash are carried in a larger mesh bag. As Rick continues his search, Mike has found another target. He digs it, and it turns out to be another gold ring. You will also note that Mike back-mounts his Garrett to reduce wear and tear on the wire connections. Back-mounting is only feasible once all the controls have been mastered, since the control panel can no longer be seen. Mike and Rick methodically search the area and are digging a good number of targets. I've also been lucky today and have found not only a few coins and a lot of trash, but 2 gold rings. As with any type of metal detecting, always remove any recovered trash from the site. As I continue to dig coins, Mike locates another faint signal. After dumping a scoopful of sand into his floating screen, another gold ring appears. Mike's ability to home in on the gold is nothing less than outstanding. Only a few minutes later, he finds and digs up a silver religious medallion. And then, only a few steps away, an old silver quarter. Now, after almost 4 hours in the water, we're all getting tired, and it's time to head out and take a look at our finds. Our efforts today have been rewarded with an assortment of silver coins, gold crosses, and gold rings. It's the ability to find and retrieve treasures like these that make metal detecting such a popular sport. Stay tuned. When Dive Wreck Valley returns, we'll be suiting up to go diving. Long Island's North Shore. We're going to be diving the Rye Cliff Ferry wreck and looking for artifacts and brass spikes with a Fisher 1280X motion detector. One of the main reasons for choosing the Fisher, besides its ease of operation and reliability, is its volume control, which allows even a diver wearing a full quarter-inch neoprene hood to hear target signals. Diving with us is my brother Dennis Berg. The Rye Cliff Ferry wreck was built in 1898 and originally named the General Knox. This 137-foot car ferry burned to the waterline and sank on September 28, 1918.
Mike, how should we set up the controls on the Fisher to dive this wreck?
Well, the Fisher comes with three sets of controls. It has a sensitivity, which underwater you'll have to run at about 6. Anything more than that will react to the salt water and it'll go off like a coin. Discrimination control in the center on top. If there's a lot of trash, you have to raise it higher. I try to run it around 3 if I'm on a beach, but on a site like this, I kept it about 5. And the power control, I run it full.
To find this wreck, divers should walk through Seacliff Park and take a compass bearing of 330 degrees out from the telephone pole with the white sign mounted to it. Divers should then walk through the park and carefully climb down the rocks to begin their 50-yard swim to the wreck. There shouldn't be too much of a problem finding the wreck site since it's scattered over a very large area. Also known as the Seacliff Park wreck or ferry wreck, she is mostly sanded over and low-lying. It's always recommended to dive this location at high slack. High tide usually produces better visibility conditions. Today, the visibility is poor to say the least, and has probably been adversely affected by recent rainstorms. On the way out to the wreck, we notice a flounder camouflaged to the surrounding bottom. Dennis finds a small china dish lying out in the open. Once we reach the wreck site, Mike immediately locates the first brass spike. These hand-forged squared spikes are plentiful and are scattered across a large area. The wreck is hardly recognizable. All that remains are some low-lying wood beams to mark the general area. Dennis locates an ornate brass gimbal, one of the nicest artifacts I've ever seen come off this wreck. After a little searching, I finally find a target. After digging it, it turns out to be a small antique pewter trophy, possibly a toy or collector's piece. Meanwhile, Mike has located a group of musket balls. These lead balls are too old to be from the Rye Cliff Ferry wreck, but their presence is not surprising. This area is quite historic and all sorts of interesting artifacts lie hidden beneath the sandy bottom. Of course, I'm not quite as lucky as Mike is, and my next target turns out to be only an old washer. Modern items like these are often found when detecting around the wreck site. Mike digs up a fisherman's lost lure. Brass spikes are, as always, abundant, and it seems like every other target we dig is a spike. The spikes here are so abundant that many stick out of the sand and don't even require a detector for their recovery. Mike locates and retrieves another brass spike, while I dig up a fisherman's lost lead sinker. The remainder of our hour-long dive to this shallow water shipwreck is spent locating and digging a variety of targets, ranging from brass spikes to fishing rigs. Finally, our air supply is running low, and it's time to head back to shore. While navigating back to our entry point, we spot a blue claw crab and another flounder who quickly darts away as we approach. The metal detectors have located a decent assortment of previously buried artifacts. Remember that treasure is not only in the eye of the beholder, but it's out there waiting for those willing to invest their time and energy looking for it. Whether it's ancient Spanish coins, lost jewelry, or artifacts from the remains of a sunken shipwreck, metal detecting can add not only thrill and excitement to your diving adventures, but can put gold in your pocket. For additional information on the metal detectors used on today's show,